Hello, my name is Hakon, and today I will show you another little trick you can do on the Empress Effects Zoia multi-effects processor pedal and patchable synthesizer extraordinaire. I've just started with a patch similar to the one I made in my previous tutorial. So this is just it's three sequences running on from one another, but they're also out of sync, so that will be slightly different each time. And that's just the one I used to demonstrate how to take the value from one sequence, and then from another, and send it to an output. And that's not what I'm showing you today. That was my previous video. Let's say you want to transpose the melody of a sequencer or just transpose a CV value, I should say, because you can use a sequencer for anything, not just for melodies. And for that purpose, I've made a keyboard here that is patched up to the oscillator frequency. So every time that's just the bass note there. Now the problem with doing it this way, if you can hear that, is that sometimes if you're not very careful, you get little glitches because the note changes in the middle of getting triggered, and you get these little artifacts that don't sound that nice, and that's not usually what you want. So how do you, I'll just switch the sound off for a moment. So how do you, so what you want to do is for the note change to trigger only when the sequencer goes to the next step. So you want it to trigger exactly the same time as the gate input of the sequencer. So there's a little trick you can do. You need sample and hold modules. I'm going to do two of those. I'm going to make one there and one there. So now I've got two sample and hold modules. And I'll take the note output from the sample and hold, from the keyboard into the input of the sample and hold. And I'll take the trigger output from, I could use the gate output either way actually. Let's do the trigger output to the trigger input of the sample and hold. Now a sample and hold, what that does is it has an input value which can change over time. It just constantly changes with whatever you add to it. And it has a trigger input, and when the sample and hold module is triggered, then and only then will it take the input value and move that to the output value. And it stays at the output value until it gets a new trigger input, and then it reads the input value again. So it's a nice way to keep a value. Let's see, I'll just push one there and we should get a value there. So far so good, as I usually say in these videos. For some reason I don't usually say that, but when I make Zoia videos sometimes I say so far so good. So so now every time we push a key here, this value will change. And then I want to synchronize the value that's sent to the oscillator with the gate, and for this I have to use another but I don't actually have to use two gates for this. But the thing is, a keyboard, of course, the value in the note out value stays the same until you press another key. But for lots of different modules, the value is momentary, which means that in order for this to work in almost any kind of circumstance, you actually need two sample and hold modules. So the output value from the first one goes to the input value of the second one. Because even now, if this had been a momentary push button, for instance, and the value was transported here, you would still get the correct value out. And the trigger for this should be the gate of the sequencer. So I can use the LFO in this case, because that's common to all of them. So I'm going to connect that to the LFO output. And the output value here, you can see it's triggering now, then goes to, let's see, where are we now? The oscillator frequency. We've got 2 oscillators, so we're going to go to that one and also to that one. Okay, let's see how that sounds now. Oh, now, because we have to remove the note output from the sequencer to, let's see, so note output, oops. It's going to remove my previous connections there. So now we've got a much cleaner transposition, because it doesn't change the notes in the sequence except when the sequencer is triggered by a gate input. So a very useful little thing, and oh, suddenly it got really bright here, so you can't see the Zoia now. We certainly can't see the lights, so I'll just try to close my blinds a bit. One of the hazards of making videos in the morning. So, there we have it. That's quite a nice, simple way of cleaning up a transposition signal, which can come from anything, and then synchronize it with the gate of where you want it to go. 2 sample and hold modules is all you need for any kind of signal to be transported somewhere else at a certain point. So, yeah. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this, if you found this useful, please leave a like, a comment, share, subscribe, all those usual things people do on YouTube, or so I have been told. And I'll be looking forward to seeing you again in future videos, which will probably be more Zoia and of course other things as well, but I'm doing quite a bit of Zoia videos these days. So thanks again for watching, and goodbye for now. Bye bye.